Red Flag Radio.
We see the signs.
Okay, honey. Today's episode, I almost threw my coffee across the room reading this one.
A visceral reaction before caffeine processing. That's a new personal record.
Picture this, babe. 6 years old, first grade. A wildlife presenter comes in with animals. Fun day, right?
Statistically, one of the more memorable days in early elementary education, usually for positive reasons.
Usually. Until the snake comes out. And this little girl, sweet, tiny, 6 years old, says, "No, thank you. I don't want to touch that."
A reasonable boundary. Snakes are, objectively, ambulatory muscle tubes with fangs.
Ambulatory muscle tubes. Okay, so she says no. And instead of the adults going, "Totally fine, sweetie, let's move on,"
The wildlife instructor pressures her. Then the teacher pressures her. Then they both announce the class cannot continue until she complies.
they held the entire classroom hostage to this little girl's compliance. Do you understand the social pressure that puts on a 6-year-old?
Enormous. You've now weaponized her peers as secondary coercion agents.
She starts crying. She runs out into the hallway. She doesn't leave the building. She doesn't hide. She just stands in the hall right outside the door.
A regulated, measured response from a 6-year-old in acute distress. Impressive, actually.
And the school's reaction? 2-week suspension. Automatic.
For leaving the room without permission, the infraction being, essentially, fleeing a situation the adults engineered.
Setting boundaries at 6. Run from snake. School response. Suspend. Lesson learned. Fears are felonies.
The principal then explains this wasn't bullying, it was, quote, exposure therapy.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
They further clarified that her fear of snakes was irrational.
Gaslighting gold right there. "Your fear is irrational," shouts the adult, pressuring a sobbing 6-year-old. Snakes don't lie, babe. Kids do.
We see the signs.
Clinically, exposure therapy is a structured intervention delivered by a licensed mental health professional with informed consent.
Not something you freestyle during show and tell.
Correct. What occurred here was coercion dressed in a lab coat it did not earn.
Weaponized therapy speak. It's exposure. Sure. And my abusive boss called overtime personal growth opportunities.
My last performance review described my layoff as a liberation event.
Oh, honey, no. But this is the exact move. Slap a clinical term on abuse, and suddenly it's treatment.
The school then offered Mom a deal. The suspension would be lifted if she provided proof that her daughter was enrolled in therapy.
For the phobia that the school manufactured the crisis around.
She mentioned she cannot afford therapy. The school's position did not soften.
Can't afford therapy? Tough luck, says the school. Free bologna sandwiches, but snake phobia fixes? Pay up, peasant.
This is the coercive control playbook. Therapy proof or no school. Like an ex demanding couples counseling on your dime for their fetish.
Marcus.
I stand by the analogy.
Okay, let's name what's happening here because this is textbook. First, Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender.
Deny the pressure occurred. Attack the child's emotional response as irrational. Reverse victimhood. Now the 6-year-old is the disruptor, the runner.
She's the problem, not the 2 adults who cornered her with a reptile.
The institution performs the same maneuver abusers perform in intimate relationships. It is not a coincidence.
Because the mechanism is the same, babe. Protect the power structure. Reframe the victim. Demand the victim pay for their own rehabilitation.
Second pattern, institutional betrayal. The entity whose stated mission is your safety becomes the source of your harm.
Institutional betrayal faster than a bad blind date. We protect kids. unless they won't pet the predator.
Third, gaslighting through credential borrowing. By invoking the word therapy, they attempt to launder the behavior.
And here's what kills me. The mom said it herself. She doesn't believe for 1 second they were actually doing exposure therapy. They pushed too hard, the kid cried, and then they invented a justification.
Post hoc rationalization. The harm happened first. The clinical language arrived to retroactively sanctify it.
Like a narcissist saying, "Therapy for your trust issues," after cheating with a serpent emoji.
The legal advice subreddit, to their credit, identified the fatal flaw immediately.
Tell me.
None of the adults involved are licensed mental health professionals. By claiming they administered therapy, the teacher has now described practicing outside her scope.
Which is a reportable offense to the state.
The moment they chose the word therapy over "we messed up," they handed the parent a regulatory weapon.
Couldn't just say, "We're sorry, we pushed her too far, let's start over." No, they had to be right.
Being right is more psychologically urgent to these systems than being accurate.
And the update? Mom emailed the superintendent, got a call back almost immediately. Funny how fast the machine moves when accountability shows up at the door.
The threat of external oversight recalibrates institutional priorities with remarkable efficiency.
Here's the takeaway, loves. If someone, a partner, a boss, a school, uses therapy language to justify hurting you or your kid, that's not therapy. That's a costume.
Real clinical intervention requires consent, credentials, and care. If any of the three are missing, the word is a weapon.
Trust the 6-year-old who runs into the hallway, babe. She knows.
Her instincts outperformed every adult in that building.
If this episode hit a nerve, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Rate us, subscribe, and remember, "It's for your own good" is the oldest red flag in the book.
Don't touch the snake, literal or metaphorical.
We'll see you next week, honey.
Red Flag Radio.
We see the signs.
Okay, honey,